I just sent you a message.
Hi. Yep, responding now.
Okay.
We are right up at 10 o'clock. Bonita, would you like me to go ahead and get started, or do you want to give folks an extra minute to come in the room? You're muted.
Give extra minute,
Okay.
I think.
1 minute, guys, and then we'll get started. Thank you so much for joining us. All right, Bonita, the wonderful thing about this is that this is going to be recorded, so everyone will have it and can come back to it. So I'm going to go ahead and get us started. All right, give me 1 second. Okay, so welcome everyone to xMinds' first ever open house for parents of Black autistic children. My name is Kim Pinckney Lewis, and I'm on the board for xMinds, and I'm also a member of the BIPOC committee. So we're hosting this event today, and before I turn it over to our moderator for the day, Ms. Bonita Williams, there are some logistics that I have to get through for all of us, so bear with me. So after I'm finished with some logistics, I'll turn it over to Bonita and some quick ground rules. Everyone was muted upon their entrance to Zoom, and we ask that you remain muted for the duration of the presentation until we get to the breakout room portion of this event later in the session. This will help to minimize echoes and ensure an enjoyable experience for all. Secondly, the first portion of this open house is being recorded. So we ask that you please keep your cameras off to protect your identity. You will notice that those of us who are on the board do have our cameras on, so you can identify us as folks who were involved with xMinds at this time. We will have the recording available within the next day or two. So if there's information you'd like to share, go back and sort of look at again, that will be posted for you. And those of you who have just joined, we are asking that you keep your cameras off and your microphones muted, okay? Lastly, we invite you to offer any questions or comments through Zoom's chat feature. Carolina Harp, one of our BIPOC committee co-chairs, will be monitoring the chat, and we'll read out your questions when we get to the Q&A portion of the event. I do want to remind everyone that questions submitted in chat are associated with your username. So if you would like to remain anonymous and you want to submit that question anonymously, please send a private message to Carolina Harp so that way she can receive your question and it won't be sort of visible to everyone else. And with that, I will turn over the mic to Bonita Williams. Thank you so much for attending.
Okay. So we'll begin our presentation, and just let me share my screen. I can do that. Okay, let me just. Good morning. Good morning. Hope you're enjoying this Saturday morning. I want to thank you for coming out today to the xMinds house, open house for parents of Black autistic students. In honor of Black History Month, we are acknowledging the unique and complex intersection of the Black and autistic experiences by hosting this open house in your honor. My name is Bonita Williams. I have a 9-year-old son who is on the spectrum. I'm on the xMinds board and co-chair of the xMinds Black, Indigenous, and People of Color Outreach Committee, also known as BIPOC. I joined xMinds about 5 years ago, looking for a community that would understand the issues that our family was facing and that could provide counsel, support, and fellowship. I have found all of those things, plus I've grown in my understanding and appreciation of autism. I want to welcome those of you who are new to xMinds. We're parents, educators, service providers working together to improve the educational experiences and outcomes for autistic students in K through 12 in Montgomery County. We provide many resources which you will learn about today. This open house is organized by the Black, Indigenous, and People of Color Outreach Committee. We are reaching out to members of the BIPOC and Spanish-speaking communities to introduce and to provide greater access to the resources and programming offered by xMinds. During today's open house, we will show you how to access resources that can help you and your child, learn more about xMinds, connect with other parents and caregivers, share your voice and needs for greater support. And on the right side of our page is the agenda. This is an interactive session that we'll have here today. There will be questions in the form of a poll, actually 5 poll questions. We will begin with an overview of key resources on the xMinds website. Then we will have a brief Q&A, followed by breakout room discussions for community building. We will divide into smaller groups for about 15 minutes for a more intimate discussion. Last, we will reconvene to share our breakout room experiences and answer any remaining questions. I'm just going to repeat what Kim said earlier. We're asking everyone to mute their phones, computers, and turn off their cameras so that we can have anonymity. We're recording here today. And if you have any questions during the presentation, please write it in the chat and we will answer it during Q&A, okay? Here we go. Let's get started. Okay, I'd first like to want you to see what our homepage looks like. This is the homepage for xMinds. I'm just kind of slowly scroll through it. Here across this blue bar is where you'll find a great deal of information, and we'll come back to that later. Pictures. And then there's another button that says Learn About Us and Our Team. I encourage you to come back at a later time to read up on us and see which committees we have, who's on the board and all that. There's more information on our homepage. Okay. Okay, so now, I'm going to take you on a deeper dive. I'll walk you through 5 areas on the website that I find really helpful, very helpful. And first, we'll begin with, here's the first question we can answer so we can learn a little bit about each other. Let me launch it. Okay, so here is the first question is your child enrolled in public school, non-public school, or homeschool? And I'll give you a few seconds to answer that, and I'll share it. Okay, so in polling now, share results. And we see that 78% of you, 7 of you, have children in public school and 2 in non-public school. Okay. So now let's go to the xMinds website where you can find out information about these 3 categories. And we'll kind of briefly go through this. It's just Montgomery County schools. This is the page. And this is for all types of schools in Montgomery County. You have your public education page, non-public education page, and homeschooling. The public education page we'll come back to later, so I won't go into that right now, but I'll just click briefly on the non-public page. And that has information about, it connects us with the directory for the Maryland Association of Non-Public Special Education Facilities, which has information about over 90 special education schools in Maryland. Okay, let's go to the homeschooling page on our site. Okay, the homeschooling page provides links to the Maryland Home Education Association and the MCPS website on home instruction. And the home instruction website really has a lot of information there if you're interested in homeschooling. Both do, but really the Montgomery County school site gives you kind of a blueprint, a path for homeschooling in the county or in the state. Okay, let's go back. And our next area is MCPS special education programs. And let's hit, no, we need to launch the poll. I have another poll for you. Okay, let me launch it. Okay, here we go. Which special education programs have you heard of? Give you a few more seconds to answer that. Okay, I will end polling now and share it with you. Looks like we have 100% of people have responded. Sharing results. Looks like the Comprehensive Autism Preschool Program, half of you have heard of. The Darnestown Learning Center for Autism, 30% have learned of. I believe that's a newer program. Secondary Autism Services Program, 70%, majority have heard of, and Transition Services, 60%. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing results. And we will go to that page, to that MCPS Special Education Programs page. And here's the page. Okay, Public Education in Montgomery County, MCPS. We have placements, preschool, elementary services, secondary services, special education committees, MCPS transition services. And what I'm going to do is just, I won't go into all of these. I'll just, I'm going to jump into preschool first. Our preschool services, we have several programs, and this is the comprehensive autism preschool program here. Talk about that there. Then there's the PET program. Then there are different iterations of the PET program. There's itinerant services. There's the pilot program, which I believe my son was in. Classic and intensive needs, and comprehensive and collaboration. Give me a second. So that's our preschool page, but I'd also like to show you on this page, and it's also, you can, I'm sorry for scrolling back. You can also find it on another page. It's the MCPS map, special ed map. Okay, a map of our county will pop up, and this shows all of the programs, special education programs throughout the county. And these are, it's filtered by grade level, programs, high school cluster or consortium. Okay, and let's go to, let's take you to another section. We'll go to elementary services. So some MCPS special programs follow curriculum that leads to high school diploma, and others pursue the alternative learning outcomes curriculum, which is also known as ALO. And these lead to a high school certificate. So here's our diploma-bound elementary services program. And let me take you some of the programs here. Gifted and talented elementary learning centers. My son, who's in the 3rd grade, is in a learning center. And we are very pleased with what they're doing there. Darnestown Learning Center for Autism, Carl Sandburg, Elementary Asperger's Services, Social and Emotional. Okay, and then there's the certificate-bound elementary services, and this is the alternative learning outcomes track, Learning for Independence, school community-based program, elementary autism programs, and extensions program. Sorry for going so fast. Don't want to mess up your eyes. Okay, so that, and then the last section that we are going to look into, let me see, sorry guys, is transition services. And there's actually something sitting over that area that is making it hard for me to get to. Okay. In the special education programs area is MCPS transition services. I did skip secondary. I'll just say that the secondary programs are pretty much like what they have in elementary school. I skipped that in so that we'll have time. I don't want to spend too much time going to all the links. MCPS transition services are services provided to special education students beginning around the age of 14, ending whenever they earn a diploma or certificate or reach the age of 21. And then it's the results-oriented activities. They are trying to prepare them for life after high school. So it's very important to know about. Okay, we're gonna go back to the slide. And before, our next section is, what do I have? Navigating special education IEPs and advocacy. And before we go to that, we'll do another poll for you. Okay, let me launch that. Does your child have an IEP? Okay. Let's see. Oh, okay. Okay, so 91% of you, let me share the results. And remember to do that. 91% of you say, yes, your child has an IEP. And one person does not. That's great too. Okay. And now we will head to that section of the website, which is under Navigating Special Education. Okay, under Navigating Special Education, IEPs, let me show you that. There's a page called Individualized Education Programs, or IEPs. And it just, there's a wealth of information here, the roadmap, frequently asked questions, parent guidance, a lot of that. We need a lot of that. I know that I've needed a lot of that. Abbreviations, dispute resolution, accommodations, and related services. Okay. You should come back to this page at some time, check it out. Another page, there's an accommodations page. There's a special education abbreviations explained page. And then there's the xMinds, come on page, xMinds team consult. And this is our consultants, our parent advisory committee. They provide advice on special education matters. They are not, they're members of xMinds. They're not professional advocates, but they do have real life experience and some training in special education matters. So if you want to speak with one of our volunteer advocates, you want to come to this page, complete this form, and we'll get back with you. And this service is offered free of charge. So that's wonderful because advocates are really expensive. I know that from experience. Okay. Our fourth area is distance learning. And I know it's been almost a year since our children were in a school classroom. Some of us are going back on March 1st. And I know many parents have chosen to continue distance learning. Our website, the xMinds website, contains a lot of helpful information about distance learning. And here's our fourth poll question. Okay. Hope all of you can see that. Is virtual/distance learning working well for you and your child with autism? And I, surprisingly hear people say, oh, it's working really well. Others say, oh no, it's the worst thing. So it's interesting. So I think that we have, I'll end the polling. So everyone answered, I hope they have. And share the results. So what we have here is, yes, virtual distance learning is working well for 60% of the attendees here at this meeting, and not working well for 40%. Okay. So stop sharing the results and take you to the distance learning page on the xMinds website. Okay, here's our distance learning page. Just kind of slowly scroll through it. We have a tab for supporting distance learning, parent advocacy guidance, learning sites, tutoring support, MCPS COVID-19 communications, MCPS autism unit webinars. Okay, and I will, I'll just click on a couple of these buttons, not all of them. Okay, first one is supporting distance learning. And what we have here is a short webinar for parents, optimizing distance learning. And there's several sites, about 53-minute long recorded webinar done by Suzanne Keith Blattner, one of our professional members. And it provides information about the slides. They're grouped together, and it's really helpful. So you don't have to go through every slide if you don't want to look for what it is that information that you are seeking. Okay. Okay, and then we have, let's see, we'll go to MCPS COVID-19 communications. And this page provides updates on communications about COVID-19. Our latest communication from the Montgomery Mcps is February 24th, and it's about the return to school plan. And here's some of the other ones that came out. Going back to March. Okay. Okay. Now let's go back to the slide. Okay, we're back at the slide for our last poll question. Here we go. Have you attended any xMinds events in the past? Okay. It looks like most of you have answered. I'll give you a couple more seconds. Okay. Okay, I'm going to end polling. Share the results. Have you attended any xMinds events in the past? And it looks like 75% of you have, and 25% haven't. So we do have, looks like we have some people new today to this open house. Let's stop sharing the results, and we will go into the last section, and which is our xMinds calendar of events. Okay, this is our events page. xMinds and other autism community events. Our upcoming event after this one, so you see the one that we're having today is there, is Special Education Advocacy 101. There will be a session in English and another in Spanish. So that's on March 20th at 10 a.m. So we hope to see you there. I'll just show you the calendar for, I'll switch to March because February is almost over. And here's March. So you'll see other events. Those are other community organizations or other organizations. We place their events on our calendar. But ours, the one that we're holding, is here on the 20th, on the far right. So there are always events, always events. Our next tab is the past xMinds events. And this is a gem because we've held many events in this last year, and there's a lot to learn, a lot of video recording, slides, documentation that you can go through, sift through, go through and learn some things. Our last event was January 13, last month, and the topic of the event was, does your education team presume competence in your autistic student? There's a video recording here, there's slides, and please go back and check it out. We have events from December, November, October, September, all the way back, well, back for a while, but I believe our first video recorded events were in April. And the first two were with two attorneys, okay, Kim Glassman and Michael Gurton. Okay, there you go with the events, past events, definitely worth going back to look at. And then there's the autism friendly activities. I won't click into that, but there are a lot of great ideas for activities to do with your child. We all know that we have to keep them busy and just keep them growing, learning. And this provides, there's a lot of information here, okay? Now I shared with you highlights of the xMinds website, and I hope you now have a better sense of our resources. The xMinds website has a lot of information. I hope you visit at a later date. It's really worth it. We are transitioning now to the part of the open house where we hear from you. We want to hear your voices, what you have to say. So I am going to, Carolina.
Yes.
Ask Carolina, please share any questions that came up in the chat. She'll read the questions and any committee member can answer.
We have one question so far, and it is, where does the extensions stand in elementary program?
Carolina, I'm having a hard time hearing you. Do you mind saying that again or turning up your volume?
The question is, where does extensions stand in elementary program?
I didn't
Where does extensions stand in the elementary program? Is that the question, Carolina?
Yes. I don't know what's going on.
The extensions program, do you mean?
I think that would have to probably be a question that we would have to look into as far as the breakdown of the special education programs throughout the county, and get back with an answer.
The extensions program in elementary school falls under the non-diploma bound programs offered by MCPS.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Carolina. Do we have any other questions from the chat?
No, we don't.
Okay. So at this time, I just want to say thanks for the question, for your question. No other questions. Are there any other matters we have to attend to before we move on to the next part of the open house?
Nope, I think that's a great transition. Bonita did a great job walking you guys through some of the great resources that we have on the xMinds webpage. As she said, I would just want to reiterate, go back, take a look. There's a number of resources that have already been vetted and that are there for you that are really, really great. I think I can probably speak for every one of us on the committee that we've gotten a lot out of that ourselves. But at this point in this session, we're going to transition a little bit to do some, that portion of networking and community building that we promised you in the beginning. So what we're going to do is going to sort of divide ourselves out into breakout rooms. You'll notice that I have a virtual background that identifies me as a board member, as do a number of the others of us on this session in this open house. So we have a breakout room for Crystal. Crystal, raise your hand so folks know who you are. There's a breakout room that Daria is going to be leading. Raise your hand, Daria. Rachel Tate is also going to be leading one. If you can raise your hand. Yep. And then Bonita as well, who you've gotten to know very well through this open house thus far. So I've already pre-assigned folks to those rooms. And we're going to have just some questions and sharing. Each of the breakout room monitors has some questions they're going to lead you through. And this is really a time to learn from each other, to connect and identify and really build some community here. So at this point in time, I'm going to open all the rooms. If you haven't been assigned a room, I will find you and put you in one. Okay.